What if I told you that the very thing you're doing to make her love you is the reason she's drifting away? Think about that. Every time you call her first, every time you drop everything to see her, every time you bend over backwards just to keep her happy, you're not getting closer to her heart. You're actually pushing her away. Not because you're a bad man, not because she doesn't like you, but because you're giving so much that there's nothing left for her to chase. Let's take a breath and zoom out for a second. Since we were boys, we were told that women want a man who does everything for them. Open the door, pay for dinner, be available 24/7, give compliments non-stop, prove that you're the one. So what did we do? We tried to give her the world. But here's the hard truth. No one tells you. Overgiving is not love. Overgiving is self-abandonment. And when you abandon yourself for someone else, they don't feel love. They feel pressure. They feel overload. They feel like you don't even have a life without them. And the more you give, the more they wonder, why is he so focused on me? What is he running from in his own life? Let that sink in. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't be kind. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care. What it does mean is this. If you give everything too fast, your time, your energy, your love, before she's even earned it, it feels fake. It feels desperate. And it kills attraction. You see, women don't just want to feel loved. They want to feel like they're earning your love. They want to desire you. But they can't do that if you're always right there, waiting. Imagine this. There's a man who's always texting, always complimenting, always trying to impress. He changes his schedule to fit hers. He drops his hobbies, his gym, his goals, just to be available. Now ask yourself, does that feel strong? Does that feel grounded? Does that feel like the kind of man she can look up to? Or does it feel weak? When a man gives too much too soon, he's not giving from strength. He's giving from fear. Fear of being left. Fear of not being enough. Fear of losing her if he doesn't constantly prove himself. And that fear, she feels it. She smells it. And it pushes her away, not because she's ungrateful, but because the energy behind the giving is insecure. Now flip the story. Think about a man who gives from overflow. He has a purpose. He's building something. He has friends, goals, vision, discipline. When he gives, it's because he chooses to, not because he's trying to get something in return. That man gives her something far more powerful than flowers or compliments. He gives her his presence. He gives her masculine energy. He gives her emotional safety. Because he isn't looking for her to fill his empty cup. He's already full. And women feel that. So here's your first major shift. Stop giving to win her over. Start giving from a place of self-respect. Give only what feels right to give. Not to get a reaction. Not to get her to stay. But because you're choosing to share your strong, stable, purpose-driven life. When you do this, you no longer need to prove yourself. She'll feel it. She'll respect it. And most of all, she'll want to earn your time, not just expect it. Imagine this. She looks at her phone. No new messages. No good morning text. No meme. No song. No just thinking of you. At first, she shrugs it off. Then an hour passes. Then 3. Now she's checking your story. She's asking herself, why hasn't he texted me? What just happened? You didn't chase. You didn't argue. You didn't beg. You simply created space. And that space, it's the most powerful move you can make. Most men panic when a woman pulls away. They chase harder. They explain themselves. They try to fix something that might not even be broken. But a stoic man, he doesn't chase chaos. He stands still. He leans into the silence. Why? Because he understands this timeless truth. Absence is not emptiness. It's energy. And that energy pulls. When you're not always around, when you're focused on your own world, your own goals, your own path, you naturally become scarce, not because you're trying to play games, but because you're busy living. And that absence, it builds tension. It creates curiosity. It makes her wonder, what's he doing? Is he thinking about me? Why do I miss him more now? That wondering, it's attraction. Now let's be real. The world tells you to never ignore her, to communicate more, to reassure her constantly. But here's what no one tells you. Over-communication is emotional noise. It removes mystery. It removes magnetism. It makes her feel like she already has you. And once she has you too easily, she stops wanting to get you. Women are wired to bond emotionally through contrast, through a dance of closeness and space, not through 24/7 connection. So when you pause, when you say nothing, when you create a gap, you're not pushing her away. You're giving her something to move toward. Now let's go deeper. Think about silence like gravity. The moon doesn't chase the ocean, but it pulls the waves. In the same way, your calm absence pulls her back into your orbit. Not by pressure, not by fear, but by magnetism. And that magnetism only exists when she feels that you don't need her to feel whole. You're not watching your phone. You're not sitting around in pain. You're calm. You're grounded. You're present, with or without her. That is strength. Let me make this clear. This isn't about ignoring her. It's not about revenge. It's not about teaching her a lesson. It's about trusting yourself enough to not react. Because when she pulls away, most men fill the space. But the stoic man lets the space speak. He lets her feel what life is like without his presence. And it's in that absence that she realizes the difference he truly makes. So, what should you do when she gets distant? Nothing. Not because you're lazy, but because your energy is too valuable to be wasted on guessing, chasing, or explaining yourself. Let her reach out. Let her feel. Let her wonder. Your silence will say everything. What if I told you she doesn't miss your messages? She misses how your presence made her feel. Not the good morning text, not the lunch date, not even the compliments. She craves the feeling of being around a man who doesn't need her to feel whole. That's right. Your energy is more addictive than your attention. Let's break this down in a way most men never hear. You can give her hours of your time. You can text her all day. You can plan surprise dates, buy gifts, and be the perfect boyfriend. But if your energy is weak, if you're needy, anxious, or overly available, none of it matters. She will still start to pull away. Why? Because what keeps a woman emotionally attached is the way your energy affects her emotions. She doesn't fall for how much you give. She falls for how you make her feel. When you're in control of yourself. When you move with calm power. When you speak without needing approval. That kind of man, rare, magnetic, unforgettable. Most men think attention equals value. They think, if I show her I care every second of the day, she'll never leave. But attention without energy is just noise. You can smother a woman with time and effort and still lose her. Why? Because she doesn't want to feel like your oxygen. She wants to feel like your chosen companion, not your only source of happiness. The man who has a full life, a clear mission, and a steady heart, he becomes unforgettable, even in his absence, because he's not giving his time to win her. He's sharing his world with her, and that feels different. Let's take it even deeper. When your energy says, I need you, it feels heavy. She starts to feel trapped, even if you don't say a word. But when your energy says, I'm whole with or without you, she feels drawn in. Because that man, he's free, and freedom is the most attractive trait of all. She doesn't want a man who clings. She wants a man who chooses her, but can walk away if his peace is disturbed. That's power. That's confidence. That's a man who creates emotional attachment, not by force, but by being rare. Think of it like this. A flame doesn't run to people, but people are drawn to its warmth, its glow, its calm, steady burn. You are that flame. Don't chase her with words. Don't flood her with proof that you care. Let your energy speak for itself. Let her feel that you're unbothered, focused, and full of purpose. That's the language her heart understands, even if her words say otherwise. Remember this. It's not your time she truly values. It's how she feels in your presence. And when you live with purpose, confidence, and calm energy, she feels something no other man gives her. Safety, mystery, desire. That's what keeps her emotionally hooked. So don't just give time. Give a powerful presence. Let your energy be so strong that even your silence lingers in her mind. Why her mind chases the man who chooses himself. Not ignoring her, not playing games, but actually loving your life so much that she's just the cherry on top, not the entire dessert. That's when she starts wondering, why doesn't he need me? And that thought, that's what haunts her in the best way. Let's dive into this truth. The world tells men to chase, to win her over, to show her you're different. But that's the fastest way to lose respect. Because women don't want to be your goal. They want to join your journey. Read that again. if your life stops every time she walks in, if your focus breaks every time she calls, if your goals pause every time she texts, she won't feel special. She'll feel smothered, and she'll drift. But when your energy says, I like you, but I'll never lose myself for you, she feels something rare. Not arrogance, not detachment as a trick, but true self-respect. That's what shakes her core. She starts to question her power. She starts to ask why you're so different, why you're not trying so hard like the rest. That's when her mind chases. Not because you're cold, but because you're centered. Women don't want to be the sun in your sky. They want to orbit a man who already shines. She wants to join your life, not become it. She doesn't want to feel like your only reason for waking up. She wants to know you'd still rise without her, because that makes her presence feel earned. And when she feels she's earning your time, not being smothered by it, her emotions deepen. That's not manipulation. That's nature. Here's the reality. If you don't choose yourself, no one else truly will. When you drop your goals to prove your love, you drop your power. When you beg for her time, you lose your value. But when you choose your purpose, your peace, your path, you become something she respects first, then desires later. Women are emotional creatures, but their feelings don't grow from words. They grow from energy. And the man who protects his energy, he becomes unforgettable. She may act like she wants all your time, but deep down, she wants your standards more. She wants to know you can say no, that you won't chase her approval, that you have a life that can't be shaken just because she's upset, because that man is safe. Not because he fixes everything, but because he doesn't fall apart. That man makes her feel something no amount of affection can. Security through strength. So when she pulls away, don't panic. Don't chase. Don't flood her with energy she didn't earn. Just return to your mission. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Let her remember the peace she felt around you. And when she returns, welcome her like a man who was never waiting, just busy building. Because a man who chooses himself will always be the one she can't forget. The silent power that makes her question everything. What if saying less made her feel more? Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't chase, didn't explain, didn't overgive. There's a strange truth women rarely admit. Sometimes silence shakes them deeper than sweet words ever could. And when a man holds his silence, not out of ego, but out of inner calm, that silence starts to echo inside her. And that echo sounds like mystery. Let's be real. Most men talk too much when they're scared. They text paragraphs when she gives one-word replies. They explain, defend, overshare, and try to fix her distance. But a woman doesn't bond with a man through explanations. She bonds with a man through presence. And ironically, presence doesn't mean flooding her with attention. It means showing up in your own life, even when she disappears from it. This is where emotional mastery comes in. Not coldness, not stonewalling, but calm strength. The man who can sit with discomfort, who doesn't need to react instantly, who doesn't let his emotions hijack his mind. That man becomes a rare breed in her eyes, because while other men get emotional when she pulls back, you get still. You don't beg. You don't panic. You don't question your worth. You stay rooted in who you are. This does something powerful to her psychology. It makes her ask, why is he okay without me? And that question creates tension. Not toxic tension, but the kind that pulls her back in. Because women are drawn to men who are whole, men who don't need their attention to breathe, men who treat peace like a non-negotiable, men who don't trade self-respect for temporary connection. There's something deeply attractive about a man who doesn't force clarity. He doesn't demand closure. He doesn't blow up her phone for answers. He just lets silence speak louder than words. And in that silence, she feels his strength, his mystery, his emotional power. That's when she starts to miss him. Not because he manipulated her, but because his calm became a mirror, reflecting just how chaotic the world feels without him. So when she pulls away and your heart screams for a reaction, pause. Breathe. Choose stillness over chasing, not to get her back, but to honor your own inner man. Because when your energy says, I'm not shaken, I'm centered, she feels something no nice text or romantic gesture could ever create. Respect. And once a woman respects you, her emotional wall starts to soften. Not because you broke through it, but because you never let it control you. That's not game playing. That's emotional leadership. And emotional leadership, that's the heartbeat of Stoic attraction. Why chasing kills the mystery. She craves. What if the more you chase her, the faster she runs? What if every sweet message, every check-in, every just thinking of you wasn't bringing her closer, but pushing her further away? Here's the truth. No one teaches men. A woman doesn't want to be smothered. She wants to be pulled by mystery, by energy, by curiosity. And chasing kills all three. Let's talk about why chasing is unattractive, even when your heart is in the right place. When a man chases a woman, especially after she pulls away, he does it from a place of lack. He's not saying, I'm complete and I'd love to share this with you. He's saying, I feel empty without you. Please come back and fix that. And that energy, it doesn't make her feel special. It makes her feel pressured. Women aren't drawn to neediness. They're drawn to abundance. To men who are so full of purpose, life, and presence that she wants to chase him. Here's what's wild. The more a man focuses on his own life, his goals, his mission, his peace, the more emotionally valuable he becomes in her eyes. Because value is never loud. Think about gold. Gold doesn't chase you. Gold doesn't text back fast. Gold doesn't beg. Gold just is. Rare, solid, unmoved. Now imagine you become that. A man who doesn't move just because she moves, A man who doesn't overgive when she undershows. A man who doesn't trade his energy for a maybe. When you stop chasing, something shifts. Suddenly, you're not a follower. You're not another guy in line trying to earn her love. You're the prize. That shift changes everything. She starts to feel like she's missing something. Because now, she's not sure where she stands with you. And that sense of uncertainty isn't bad. It's intriguing. Because women are emotional creatures. Yes. But more importantly, they're creatures of curiosity. And nothing pulls their curiosity harder than a man they can't quite figure out. So when you chase her, you erase the mystery. She knows exactly where you are, exactly how you feel, exactly what she can get without doing anything. But when you stop chasing and instead start leading your own life, now she has questions. Why isn't he reaching out? Is he thinking about me? What's he doing without me? And those questions become hooks in her mind. Not because you played a game, but because you lived your life. Here's the final twist. Chasing makes her your mission. But when you become your own mission, she wants to be part of it. Not because she has to, but because it feels magnetic. So next time your instincts scream, text her, call her, prove yourself. Don't. Let her feel the space. Let her feel your absence. Let her wonder where your energy went. Because when your energy returns to you, she feels the loss, and she starts to crave the man who doesn't need her to feel whole. How absence makes you powerful and impossible to forget. Ever noticed how the silence of a man speaks louder than his words? When a woman feels your absence, not your words, not your gifts, not your good morning texts, but your actual energy missing from her world, it creates a vacuum. And here's the secret. Women feel that vacuum deeper than you think. Let's break down why absence, when used with calm, purpose, and strength, isn't a trick. It's your most powerful move. When you're always present, always available, always ready to give her time. She doesn't have to wonder. She doesn't have to think about you. There's nothing for her to miss. It's like leaving a song on repeat. After a while, she doesn't hear it anymore. But when you disappear into your life, not in anger, not in coldness, but in focused silence, you create contrast. And contrast makes her feel. Here's what most men don't understand. Women attach emotionally when they experience contrast. They need to feel the up and the down. They need to feel your presence and then your absence. Not because they want you to vanish, but because when you're not there, when you're out chasing your mission, working on your vision, spending time in stillness, she notices, and more importantly, she remembers. She remembers how you made her feel. She replays the last conversation. She starts asking questions in her head that sound like, where did he go? Is he missing me? What is he doing without me? And this emotional tension builds a powerful attachment. Because your presence was felt, but your absence is echoing. Most guys never create this space. They're too afraid. Afraid she'll forget them. Afraid she'll move on. But here's the Stoic truth. What is real never runs when it's respected. And when a woman senses your absence is not a punishment, but a reflection of your focus, it actually draws her in deeper. Think about it like this. If you eat chocolate every day, it's no big deal. But if you go weeks without it, that first taste is magic. You don't need to be around 24/7 to be unforgettable. You need to mean something when you're gone. That's what powerful absence does. It creates mystery. It builds value. It stirs emotion. And the best part? You're not doing it to play games. You're doing it because your life is full. And she's a guest, not the center. So when she starts pulling away, when she gets distant, when she creates space, you don't fill it with panic. You don't rush in with effort. You let that space breathe. Because in that silence, she'll feel everything she ignored. And she'll start to see. You're not like the others. You're not available for free. You're not seeking approval. You're not emotionally weak. You are absent. Because you are engaged with something greater. Yourself. Why her emotions attached to the man she can't fully predict? Have you ever wondered why the guy who does less sometimes gets more? Why the man who doesn't text back right away, who doesn't always explain himself, who lives his life with calm unpredictability, seems to haunt her thoughts? It's not magic. It's not luck. It's psychology. And it's ancient. Let's dive into why predictability kills attraction and how Stoic unpredictability makes a woman attach emotionally without even knowing why. Here's the truth. Women don't crave constant comfort. They crave depth. They crave a man who makes them feel something beyond the usual. And guess what kills that feeling faster than anything? Being too predictable. When you always say the right thing. When you always show up the same way. When she can guess your next move before you make it. You become safe, yes, but not desirable. Desire is born from the unknown. It's created in the space between what she feels and what she doesn't understand yet. That's why the man who doesn't reveal everything, the man who isn't always explaining, the man who lets her wonder just a little bit, he triggers something powerful in her brain, a feeling of curiosity, a pull toward mystery, and mystery is where emotional attachment grows. But here's the key. This isn't about acting mysterious. This is about being so deeply rooted in your own life, so focused on your values, your mission, your time, that you don't need to overshare, over-explain, or over-promise. You simply live in silence sometimes. You let her mind do the work. You let her imagination paint the picture. And that picture is always more powerful than any explanation. Let's say you have a great conversation with her. There's chemistry, energy, laughter. Then you go quiet. Not because you're playing games, but because your attention is now back on your path, your training, your work, your discipline. You don't rush to repeat the moment. You let it breathe. She's used to guys trying to hold on, to repeat the magic instantly. But you You create distance after intensity. And that rhythm is addictive. It creates emotional spikes. It causes her brain to ask, what happens next? And the moment she's asking that, she's already invested. Predictability feels safe, but it also feels flat. Emotional depth needs movement. Not chaos, not drama, but natural flow, moments of presence, followed by moments of solitude. Attachment doesn't grow in all ways. It grows in sometimes. And when you stop trying to be the man who's always there and become the man who's worth waiting for, she'll stop seeing you as just another guy. She'll start seeing you as a mystery worth exploring, not because you're trying to be mysterious, but because you're too grounded to be predictable. That's the Stoic advantage. You're not ice. You're fire wrapped in stillness. And that kind of man, she doesn't forget. Why she bonds deeper with a man who doesn't need to be chased. Have you ever seen a woman chase a man who never chased her first? It's strange, right? He didn't send 100 messages. He didn't compliment her daily. He didn't prove himself. And yet, she wanted him more. Why? Because she wasn't chasing a man. She was chasing a feeling. And that feeling was emotional security without emotional pressure. Let's break that down. Most guys make a deadly mistake when a woman pulls away. They start proving. They text more. They call more. They ask, what's wrong? They try to fix it. They want to close a space because it feels scary. But here's the secret most men don't know. Her silence is not always a rejection. Sometimes it's a test of emotional weight. And the man who tries to fix her space loses his gravity. Now flip the script. The man who lets that space exist. The man who doesn't rush to fill the silence. Who stays grounded, calm, and rooted in his own world. That man shows her something powerful. I don't need your chase to feel whole. And that makes her curious. It makes her feel something rare. Because he's not asking for attention. He's not trying to earn her. He's already earned himself. Here's the truth. Women bond deepest with the man who has nothing to prove. Because that man isn't using her to feel valuable. He's already chosen his value. She doesn't feel pressure around him. No need to reassure him. No emotional babysitting. That freedom, it's magnetic. She feels it deep in her nervous system. This man won't collapse if I step back. This man won't chase me to the edge. And that's when something amazing happens. She starts chasing you. Not for validation, but for connection. Because the connection now feels safe. Stoic men don't ask, how do I make her want me? They ask, how do I become a man who doesn't need to be wanted? And by becoming that man, they are wanted deeply. Because their energy is rare. They don't demand space. They simply live in it. They don't chase approval. They give approval to themselves. And in that stillness, women feel emotional freedom. They feel safe to come closer. When a man becomes the prize, without saying it. When he's full in his silence, focused in his mission, and present in his calm. He taps into a part of her that no words can touch. It's not what you say. It's not what you do. It's what you are, unmoved, unbothered, unafraid of space. And that's the kind of man who gets attached to by her soul, not just her emotions. The unseen power of emotional mastery that makes her want to stay. Imagine a woman is facing a storm and you stand beside her, not as her protector, not as her fixer, but as a steady presence. The storm rages around her, yet you remain calm. You don't flinch. You don't run. You're not pretending that you don't feel the storm, but you've learned how to master your emotions. And here's what happens next. She will bond to you more than anyone else. Why? Because in a world full of emotional chaos, you are her anchor. We've already talked about the power of space and purpose. But let's go deeper into the invisible force that binds emotional attraction. Emotional mastery. In the modern world, it's easy to get carried away by emotions. The rush of excitement, the moments of jealousy, the fear of rejection, the anxiety of what if she pulls away? But a man who has control over his emotions is a man who possesses real power. He doesn't get swept up in the whirlwind. He doesn't throw tantrums, argue, or overreact. He simply stands there, unshaken by the external world. Here's the big reveal. Women crave stability, not just in life, but in emotions. When emotions are allowed to flow freely and uncontrolled, they create tension. But when a man can hold his own, in the midst of uncertainty, he radiates inner strength. And that strength is attractive. A woman doesn't want to be emotionally carried away in an ocean of drama. She wants to feel safe, emotionally anchored, and secure in the presence of a man who has command over his feelings. Mastery of emotion doesn't mean you hide or suppress your feelings. It means that you understand them, choose how to express them, and control when and how to act upon them. When you master this, you don't give her emotional whiplash. You don't go from hot to cold, needy to distant, or passionate to indifferent. You remain the same, a rock amidst the storm. And that stability is the secret ingredient that keeps her wanting to stay. Imagine this situation. She's stressed or maybe upset about something. You notice it, but you don't react. You stay calm, grounded. You ask her how she's doing, but you don't crowd her with too many questions. You don't try to fix her problems. Instead, you offer her comfort with your presence. The calmness you exude invites her to open up. She feels heard, but not overwhelmed. She feels supported, but not smothered. This quiet confidence is what makes her feel safe. Because in your calm, she sees strength. In your presence, she can release the tension of the world. So how does emotional mastery lead to deeper attachment? The more you understand yourself, the less you rely on her for your emotional happiness. You become emotionally independent. And here's the truth. Women want to be with men who are emotionally independent. They want someone who doesn't need to constantly feed off her emotions to feel whole. Instead, they want to be with someone who brings peace, stability, and clarity. It's the difference between a man who is emotionally reactive and one who is emotionally responsive. The reactive man is driven by impulses. He gets angry, upset, or needy quickly. The responsive man knows how to pause, reflect, and then act with deliberate intent. When you practice this, you stop chasing her approval or emotional validation. You become the calm in her chaos. And that's what she'll start to crave. She'll come to you for reassurance, not because she needs it, but because you offer a safe emotional harbor. Real confidence is the anchor of emotional mastery. Let's wrap this all up with a truth that unlocks the final emotional desire women crave. Confidence is not about arrogance, showing off, or seeking constant validation. It's about competence and self-approval. When you master your emotions and remain calm in the face of chaos, you show her that you are the leader of your own emotional world. You don't need anyone's approval to feel validated. You are already whole. And when you are whole, she will want to be part of that wholeness. By now, you can see that detachment is not about running away or pushing people out. It's about becoming whole within yourself first. It's about focusing on your purpose, embracing your self-worth, and mastering your emotions. Women are not attracted to men who are needy or uncertain. They are attracted to men who are grounded, emotionally stable, and know their worth. When you live by these principles, you don't need to chase or beg for attention. You become the prize that naturally draws others in. And most importantly, when you master these elements, you'll find peace within yourself. You'll no longer be at the mercy of your emotions or her responses. You'll stand strong, calm, and in full control of your emotional world. And that's when you become a man who attracts women on a deeper emotional level. Congratulations! You've just unlocked the deep Stoic principles that will transform your approach to attraction. Now it's time to put them into action and start living with purpose, calm, and emotional mastery. Ready to begin?